The most controversial thing I've ever said on the internet is that human beings might not be all that terrible. If you say that The Lord of the Flies is a bad interpretation of human nature, you get people jumping into your comments and bringing up all of the terrible things that humans have ever done to each other. Try to explain the Donner Party then. Try to explain the Holocaust. No one is arguing that human beings aren't capable of doing terrible things. I feel like all that our news media does is document all the horrible shit that humans do to one another. But if human beings are fundamentally good is inherently reductive, then so is the idea that human beings are inherently bad. The larger point to be made is that it's not that human beings are inherently good or bad, it's that what we believe about human beings actually affects our behavior. If you believe that you can trust most people, then when you go out into the street, you're just going to behave more friendly and open to people. If you go out and think that everyone's out to get you, then you're going to be hostile and kind of mean. Human beings have a well-known negativity bias. This evolved for very good reasons, but now, today, results in us having a very dim view of what's going on in the world and a very dim view of what our capabilities are to change it. So I've got a couple of books to check out if you want an antidote to this super negative style of thinking. One of them I mentioned in a previous video, The Dawn of Everything by David Wengrow and Graeber. I will link to that in the comments. And then the other one is The Bonobo and the Atheist by Frans de Waal. De Waal is a primatologist who studied chimpanzees and bonobos for most of his life. He is really going into questions about where human morality comes from, and he uses the differences between the chimps and the bonobos to illustrate this. The chimps are famously very hierarchical, very warlike, very violent primate species, whereas the bonobos are like kind of egalitarian, communistic, and they are constantly hooking up with one another. There's a political argument that takes place around these two species. Which one are humans more like? Are they more like bonobos or are they more like chimps? Your political ideology will probably say a lot about what your answer is there. But neither of them are more related to us than the other. It's kind of like, you have two cousins from the same aunt and uncle. Like one of them isn't more your cousin than the other. But de Waal points out that in both of these species, you can see what we would consider to be moral behavior. It's not coming from any sort of civilization. It's not coming from, we assume, any sort of conception of like a chimp god or anything like that. It's just part of the behavior of a species that has to work together. The reason it's reductive to say that human beings are good or human beings are bad is because we have a choice. We're actually empowered in this situation, and the choices that we make will actively influence our behaviors. So why not make a choice that says we're good and we can work together to fix things? I think that that's a very liberating thing to discover, and you can find all sorts of reasons why humans suck, but you can also find good reasons why they're good, so why not look for more good?